June 17th, 2026. 7 days into the biggest football tournament on the planet, and last night did something that nobody, absolutely nobody saw coming. Not at this level, not with this intensity, not in the same 24 hours. Two of the greatest human beings to ever lace up a boot, standing on opposite sides of the globe, both decided to rewrite the history books on the same night in North America. And if you think this is just another football story, you have been sleeping. This is a moment that will be talked about in barbershops, in living rooms, and on highlight reels for the next 30 years. So, sit down because we are going to break every single piece of it apart. Let's start in Kansas City, 38 years old, 200 international caps, 6 World Cup appearances. That is a number so ridiculous it sounds fictional. And Lionel Messi, on a Tuesday night in Missouri, went out there and scored a hat trick, his first ever hat trick at a World Cup. 3 goals against Algeria. Final score, Argentina 3, Algeria 0. And if you were thinking this is just a comfortable win for the defending champions, let me tell you what those 3 goals actually mean, because the numbers behind them will break your brain. That hat trick took Messi to 16 World Cup goals in his career. 16. That ties Miroslav Klose, the German striker who held that record for over a decade, as the all-time leading scorer in the history of this tournament. 96 years of World Cup football. Players from Brazil, Germany, France, Hungary, every great nation that has ever played on this stage. And standing at the very top of that mountain, equal with the very best to ever did it, is a 38-year-old man from Rosario who should, by every law of physics and time, be watching this tournament from a couch somewhere. His goals were no tap-ins either. His first was a thunderbolt from range that the Algerian keeper, Luka Zidane, yes, the son of Zinedine Zidane, had absolutely no answer for. His second was clinical. His third was a curled finish into the bottom corner that had the pro-Argentina crowd at Kansas City Stadium on their feet screaming before it even hit the net. And there is one more thing. This was his 200th appearance for Argentina, his 200th. On his 200th cap, he scores a World Cup hat trick and ties the greatest individual scoring record the tournament has ever seen. You genuinely cannot write this. Argentina coach Lionel Scaloni stood in front of the cameras afterwards and said he was at a loss for words. He said, and this is his exact sentiment, that Messi is simply incredible and there is nothing more to add. He is right. There is nothing more to add. Now, just when you thought Tuesday night cannot give you anything else, it threw a second story at you that was just as electric. Because while Messi was rewriting records in Kansas City, Kylian Mbappé was making history of his own in New Jersey. And the timing of it, coming on the exact same night, makes it feel almost cinematic. France versus Senegal. Group 1, MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford. And it was far from the smooth evening the French expected. Senegal came out pressing, aggressive, refusing to be intimidated by one of the pre-tournament favorites. France looked sloppy in the first half. 1 shot in the opening, 45 minutes. 1. The 2018 champions were being pushed around by the Lions of Teranga in front of 80,545 people, and the ghost of 2002 was floating around that stadium. That was the year France went into the World Cup as holders and favorites and got beaten by Senegal in their opening game, going out in the group stage without ever scoring a single goal. That history was alive in that building, and then the second half started and everything changed. Because Michael Olise, the Electric Crystal Palace and now France winger, cut a brilliant pass through the Senegalese defense in the 66th minute, and Mbappé darted across the penalty area and finished it without a second thought. France 1, Senegal 0. Paris Saint-Germain's Bradley Barcola coming off the bench, then dinked the ball over keeper Edouard Mendy to make it 2. And then, deep into stoppage time, as Ibrahima Bey had pulled one back for Senegal to make it 3-1, Mbappé received the ball 30 yards out, sensed the moment, and absolutely larruped a strike into the left corner of the net. His 58th goal for France, his 14th goal at a World Cup. With that second goal, Kylian Mbappé became the all-time leading scorer in the history of the French national team, surpassing Olivier Giroud's record of 57 goals. And in a moment that was genuinely beautiful, Giroud himself was in the commentary booth calling the game. He congratulated Mbappé live on air when the record fell. That is the kind of moment football was invented for. But the personal milestones do not stop at the France record. Mbappé is now the all-time leading scorer in French World Cup history, with 14 goals, overtaking the legendary Juste Fontaine, who scored 13 all the way back in 1958. He now sits just 2 goals behind Miroslav Klose's all-time World Cup record. 2 goals. The same record that Messi drew level with on the same night in a different stadium, 1,200 miles away. The race for the greatest scoring record in the history of the sport is now between 2 men who are both still playing in this tournament and both still chasing it down. This World Cup right now is delivering things that cannot be manufactured, things you could never script, things that a sport only produces once in a generation. Now we shift gears because today, Wednesday, June 17th, the tournament does not slow down, not even slightly. This afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, inside AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, England walk out for their first World Cup match in 4 years. And their opponent is Croatia. Again, the same Croatia that knocked England out in the semi-final of the 2018 World Cup in Russia. That one still hurts. It still hurts because England had a lead. They had momentum. They had the country behind them. And then Luka Modric and Ivan Perisic came alive and shattered everything. England lost that game 2-1 in extra time and came home with nothing but heartbreak. And now, 8 years later, the fixture computer has gone back to the well and served them Croatia again in the opening game of a World Cup group stage. The setting feels like a test, a deliberate football gods design examination of whether this England squad has the mental and physical tools to bury that history for good. Thomas Tuchel, the German manager who took charge of England, has caused controversy from the moment his squad was named. Harry Maguire, who has earned over 60 international caps, did not make the cut. Neither did Trent Alexander-Arnold, one of the most technically gifted fullbacks in the world. The decision sparked debate that ran for weeks on social media and television and radio stations across England. But Tuchel kept Cole Palmer in, the Chelsea attacking midfielder who scored a stunning equalizer in the Euro 2024 final. Bukayo Saka is in. Declan Rice is in. And up front, Harry Kane, Bayern Munich's relentless goal machine, is the man England believe can deliver them the thing they have not had since 1966, a World Cup. The pressure on this England team today is immense and is not just about today. It is about what this tournament represents to an entire nation that has been waiting for a trophy for 60 years. Croatia will not make it easy, they never do. This is their 7th World Cup. They have reached the semi-finals of the last 2 tournaments in a row. Luka Modric is still there, 40 years old, still pulling strings in midfield with the kind of calmness that makes you feel like time has simply stopped moving around him. This afternoon in Arlington, Texas, something is going to break. Either England's decade of near misses takes another punch, or they take a step toward finally becoming what they have always believed they should be. And here is the thing. The goals, the records, the England drama, all of that is just what is happening on the pitch. Because the 2026 World Cup is one of most politically charged, off-the-field, intense tournaments this sport has ever seen. And the chaos off the pitch is matching everything happening on it, blow for blow. Start with the political dimension. The United States under Donald Trump is one of 3 co-hosts for this tournament, alongside Canada and Mexico. And the tension between the host nations has been simmering since before a single ball was kicked, fueled by Trump's tariff wars with Canada and Mexico, his anti-immigration crackdown with ICE agents reportedly present at match venues, and travel bans that have kept fans and officials from certain countries out of the United States entirely. Iran was forced to relocate. Think about that. A national football team at the World Cup, unable to operate freely in one of the 3 host countries because of geopolitical decisions. FIFA awarded the tournament's Peace Prize to Gianni Infantino and maintained its relationship with the Trump administration throughout the controversy. This tournament is not just a football competition. It is a diplomatic battlefield playing out in real time on pitches in Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, and New York. And then there is Italy, one of the four greatest footballing nations in the history of this sport, four-time World Cup champions, absent for the third consecutive tournament in a row. Italy failed to qualify again, this time losing in a penalty shootout to Bosnia and Herzegovina. The fallout was immediate and brutal. FIGC President Gabriele Gravina resigned. Legendary goalkeeper and general manager Gianluigi Buffon announced his resignation. Head coach Gennaro Gattuso is expected to follow. Italian football is in an institutional civil war, with politicians stepping in to demand change at every level of the federation. Former Real Madrid manager Fabio Capello called the failure a disgrace and a tragedy. The federation is voting for a new president on June 22nd, and none of it changes the fact that Italy is at home watching a 48-team World Cup that it somehow could not qualify for. Meanwhile, the tournament itself is rewriting what a World Cup looks like. 48 teams means more games, more results, more drama, and more chaos. Over 50 goals have been scored in the first 18 games alone. Only 3 games have finished with 1 goal or fewer. Cape Verde, a tiny island nation, held Spain to a 0-0 draw. Co-hosts Mexico beat South Africa 2-0 in the opening game with 2 red cards, one for South Africa and one for the Mexicans themselves. The competition is breathtaking, messy, unpredictable, and absolutely relentless. And we are only 7 days in. There are still 5 more weeks to go. Coaches will be sacked, records will be broken, underdogs will rise, and giants will fall. This is the World Cup that North America waited years to host, and it is delivering in ways that nobody fully predicted. Messi at 38, still the best in the building. Mbappe at 27, chasing down history with every game. England with their 60-year ache still unhealed. Italy watching from the outside. A political storm swirling above every stadium. Welcome to the 2026 World Cup. It has only just started. June 17th, 2026. Last night, on the exact same evening, 1,200 miles apart, 2 men rewrote the history of this sport simultaneously, and the football world is still trying to process what it just witnessed. Kansas City, Missouri. Lionel Messi, 38 years old, his 200th appearance for Argentina. And on that night, on that stage, he walked out and scored a hat trick against Algeria. 3 goals. Argentina won 3-0. His first goal was a thunderbolt from range into the top corner. His second was a clinical tap-in. His third was a curled finish into the bottom corner in the 76th minute that stopped time inside that stadium. That third goal took Messi to 16 World Cup goals in his entire career, drawing him level with Miroslav Klose as the all-time leading scorer in the history of this tournament. 96 years of World Cup football, and a 38-year-old man from Rosario is now sitting at the very top of that list. Argentina coach Lionel Scaloni said afterwards he was at a loss for words. He said Messi is simply incredible. He was right. And then, while all of that was happening, Kylian Mbappe was making his own kind of history at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. France versus Senegal. France were poor in the first half, 1 shot in 45 minutes. But the second half changed everything. In the 66th minute, Michael Olise cut a brilliant pass through, and Mbappe finished it composedly past keeper Edouard Mendy. France won 0. Bradley Barcola came off the bench and chipped a second. Then, deep into stoppage time, Mbappe collected the ball 30 yards from goal and absolutely launched a strike into the left corner of the net. His 58th goal for France. France won 3-1. With that brace, Mbappe surpassed Olivier Giroud as the all-time leading scorer in French football history. He now sits on 14 World Cup goals, just 2 behind Klose and Messi at the very top of the all-time chart. In the commentary booth that night, Giroud himself congratulated Mbappe live on air when the record fell. 2 records, 2 legends, 1 night. The 2026 World Cup has only just begun.